So who will guide your way? What went through your mind when you first heard Gary sing that lyric? Was it something outside of you? Was it some idea of God that was outside, that was a supreme being? Or did you immediately go within? Did you immediately go in and know that there's a light that's wise, a light that's all wisdom, a light that radiates within you? And when you ask and you are still, it says, I am here. I will show you the way, because your way is different. Your way is unique. Your way is perfect. Your way is the perfect expression of what we refer to as God. That's the essence of what agape is. The love of God operating through the human heart. Not the God out there, but the God in here. What I've come to understand deeper and deeper is that in our humanness, we see that we have a vibration, and this vibration is our human vibration. It is our human consciousness. It is our human beingness. But that human awareness is also this infinite divine vibration, this infinite divine beingness, and you cannot separate them. It's in the illusion of the mind, the illusion of the ego, that we see it as divided. And all that we are ever to do is to bring them together. And together, we become all-powerful. Together, we have the power to create life. So we're going to explore that idea. How do we use this power? And so the first thing I want to say, there's a basis from which all of this comes. And we went into that basis starting 2 weeks ago. We said that this is a spiritual universe. And when I say a spiritual universe, it means that there is a power, an orderly expression, an infinite mind. Call it any name you want. But it's infinite. Being infinite, there's nothing other than it. Everything is created out of it. Everything must be created out of it because it's infinite. Anything that is separate from it cannot exist, because in the definition of infinite, there is only the oneness. And that's where the omnis come in, the omnipresence, the omnipotent, and the omniscience. So God is everywhere present, all-knowing, and all-powerful. If you put those omnis together, I refer to them as the omnis. That's an agape way of looking at it. That's an agape Texas way of looking at it. That's not the agape California way of looking at it. When you put those omnis together, all major religions talk about them. And we talked about it that first week. It's at the basis of a religious scientist, and that's who we are. We take spiritual principles and we prove them to ourselves. We accept nothing that we have not proven for ourselves. We're explorers in uncovering this expression, this infinite nature. So we take them and we build on them. We use them constantly. But we do that from a state of knowing God is infinite. And here's the other part. We're one with it. So if we are that oneness, I use the example, this came up, I think, in class on Saturday, was the ocean. We're all part of an ocean, and yet each of us is an individual wave. But you know that wave is fully connected to the ocean, right? It's never separate from the ocean. But the wave, an individual wave, can start out and be just this little ripple. And it can grow, and then it could be on the north shore of Oahu, 30 feet high, where these great surfers are doing it, or it can be a tsunami, 100 and some feet high. So we are that wave on the ocean. We're always connected. We are always a part of the infinite nature. And the power of the ocean is the power we use to create the wave that we desire to experience life. And so as we do that, we realize that the power, this aspect of God, is what we call an impersonal law. It's an aspect of God. It's not separate from God. This law is everywhere. Christians seem to like the term grace. And I've always explored grace, and I have never come up with a good explanation of grace until right this very moment. because this was not a part of the talk when I wrote it, but it's coming out, so it's going to stay in the recording. Grace is the awareness that there's an infinite law that is everywhere present, always present, that responds to us. It responds to the sum total of all of our thinking in any moment, and it is from that thinking, conscious and unconscious, that creation takes place. So we are the creators of our experience based on the consciousness that we use to use the law to birth our experience and expression. Here's the final thing that we build it upon. God is personal to each of us. So how do we have a personal relationship with God? Through how we use our mind. Because this power, this law, does not judge and say, no, Susanna Jones, you cannot do that. You must do it this way. No, it says, whatever you want, I will give you. It does not judge. It doesn't know the difference between good and bad. Because in God, there is no judgment. Because how could God judge itself? Think about that. How could God, the infinite nature, judge itself? It would have to be aware that there is something other than it, and that would defy the nature of its being. That just really touches you, doesn't it? It really causes the mind to look at things a little bit differently. I've been exploring this from this aspect from my Catholic background, because I was brought up in a very traditional religion, and I was taught about judgment. And now I've come to understand that, no, I don't need to judge. There's a law, and the law is automatic. It is always working, and it doesn't punish. There's a natural consequence to every cause. Do you see that? Cause, effect, cause, effect. The law is always doing that in infinite ways. And so the key is to use it. There must be conviction in us. We must have conviction. When we speak the words, we must believe it. We must know it at the core of our being. We must understand that there's a power there. So I'm going to come to this is that we create our experience. We do not create everything that happens in our lives. We create how we respond to it. So those who have been to my house, and many, many here have, know that I have a beautiful, beautiful yellow lab. She's precious. She's connected at spirit, deeper than anyone I've ever met. She's my meditation dog. We got Casey in 2002. And at that time, we were in the midst of raising two teenagers that were a bit rebellious, defiant, how dare they? I was going through the last part of my corporate career, becoming a practitioner, on my way to ministerial school, and this beautiful presence came into our lives. And so as I began my spiritual journey, whenever I would be in meditation, there was Casey. Whenever I was doing my spiritual study, there was Casey. Whenever either of my children were going through things, there was Casey to be loved, to wag her tail, to unconditionally walk up and share. Whenever Jean was going through changes at work, there was Casey, always giving kisses, always giving love, always feeling that presence. And so Casey has taken us through this magnificent transformation, this transformation of the boys coming out of teenage years and coming into manhood. Not full manhood, but manhood. And there's Jean having gone through tremendous career changes, becoming a practitioner, and then watching as her husband transform, going through from the corporate world into practitioner, into ministry, and birthing with you this perfect spiritual center. And Casey's decided that it's time to move on. So I can't change that Casey's leaving, but I can change what my experience of it is. I had the same experience 1 year ago. Today, I gave my mother's memorial. And I had the opportunity to say the words of love about this person who meant everything to me, and I did it with joy. I shifted consciousness in the island of Maui with those people that were there because I made Maria real. I made her the full expression of God, and that Maria left for the reason because her work on this planet was done. And I got the opportunity to care for her and be her caretaker for 5 weeks, feeding her with an eyedropper, with a little spoon, putting gelato on the spoon. And yesterday I was taking little shaved ice and giving it to Casey. You see, my role is to experience love because I am love. And so as Casey makes her transition, I'm not there to worry. I'm there to make sure it's comfortable, it's easy, and I, Lee Wolak, am being the highest expression of God. And let me change that. Let me say the highest expression of love. Because God can be a word that has many different meanings, but love is something. And we define love at Agape as to without judgment, care for another's happiness and expect nothing in return. So as you do the service, however that is, you do it without expecting, and you do not judge. So how do we create? We must be concise, we must be clear, we must be definite, we must believe, and we must know that there's a power. And so when we talk about this idea of spiritual mind treatment, that's all it is. It's giving clarity to the law that always exists, and the law creates. But let me break it down even further and say, it is not about just knowing how to do spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. It's about how do you use your directed thinking. Better yet, how do you direct your thought? Because most of the time we think unconsciously. And we allow things to happen to us. We allow ourselves to react, and we do not respond. So people, when I teach classes and I teach this idea of meditation, I teach that meditation, here's the gift of meditation. It buys you three seconds. And in that 3 seconds, you ask the question, is this love coming from me? So instead of reacting as we always do, you ask, is this love acting through me? What would love do? And if you hear the Christians would say, what would Jesus do? Well, the question, the real truth about Jesus was an example, the purest example, one of the purest examples that has ever walked the planet, if not the purest, of love. He breathed and lived and was love. Now, in the East, Buddha was the same thing. And there are other avatars that have come. So at Agape, we embrace all paths to God. We do not believe that there is a religion. We are not a religion. We are a philosophy and a way of life that embraces all paths to the divine. Does that make sense? So when people ask you, what religion do you go to? You say, I practice science of mind. What is that? It's a philosophy of living. What does that mean? It says, we live the life of love. We love this infinite power more than anything. We love ourselves as that infinite power, and we love everyone as that infinite power. All I did there was reword Jesus' words. All I did there was reword Buddha's words. The same words. I know that when I go and I'm with one of my spiritual teachers, Paramahansa Pragnatananda of Kriya Yoga, and he's in the midst of doing one of these magnificent meditations, he will be there and he will go, love, 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 love. And he does it, and he's this little man. He's 5'3" with the big bushy hair, the big bushy beard, and he's got these penetrating eyes that when his eyes look at you, they glow and they radiate love. And when you embrace him, and in India, most of the people, they bow, they touch the feet of the guru. They believe that the energy flowing through the guru's chakras comes out to their feet, and they want to touch the energy. When I meet Baba and I hug. And when we hug, I'm hugging. I got to squat. I'm going to tell you, I squat down for Baba because he is a little guy. He's shorter than my wife. And we hug, and he looks up at you, and he just goes, love. Think about that. Maybe you can't say that with everyone you hug. They might think you're different, but you can think it. You know, if you're hugging someone strange, you say, love. You might, let's do it. Let's play a game today. But what you can do is you can think it. And thinking is every bit as powerful as speaking it. The degree is, what is the conviction you've got behind saying it? Do you really believe it? You see, when we create purely, we create without judgment. Because when we're judging something outside of ourselves, what we really are doing is we're judging ourselves. Anytime we're making a statement of anger, of anything, of frustration, of discontent, the only person that's really being made to is ourselves because of how we've interpreted what has been done to us, which can't happen. Because remember, we are responsible for how we experience things. That's where our creative power is. We are not responsible for how someone else reacts, how someone else creates the situation. We can attract the good from people, but we are not all powerful over everyone else. Because remember, as I'm an individual expression, you're an individual expression. They are individual expressions, and they have the right to create their own life. But when you build a consciousness of love, and that consciousness becomes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, you'll attract love from everyone who walks into your vibrational path. It doesn't matter who they are, because you are a love magnet. This is what the 60s were about. Maybe we're going to have a tie-dye 60s Sunday here at Agape, and we'll fill the room with smoke. We'll have it smell like oregano, and we'll allow ourselves to just blossom into this feeling of pure bliss and pure connection. And then afterwards, we'll all get together and we'll eat magic mushrooms, and then we'll do some kind of dance and do body painting. Doesn't that sound like fun? There's children in the room that want to do it. Raise your hands if you're for it. Okay, we'll work on the rest of you. The idea in creation, we're going to explore this for the next several weeks. I'm just touching on it. I'm whetting your appetite to what's going to come. The idea that we've got to do is we've got to resolve within our minds any conflict we may have within ourselves with the old idea and the new idea. Because when we can get rid of the conflict, the old idea moves away, the new idea comes in, and the experience that we have shifts. So what we do, and this is what it's about how we direct our thought. It's about how we visualize. It's about how we speak. It's about how we act. It's everything we do is being done from a conscious point of view that there is an internal power, call it an orderly universal power within us. Because there has to be order in the universe. There's no way that this could happen. There has to be an intelligence out there that is greater than all for all of this to function. Even scientists look at it and say, there's got to be an orderly power. Well, that power is within you. You are part of that. And so your role is to become aware and to direct it, to create the highest expression that you are. Are you ready to go on that journey with me? Because we're starting. And I'm going to tell you, once we take off, there's no turning back. Once you taste that the power is within you, you will never be happy looking outside again. This is what some people call it the curse of metaphysics, the curse of new thought. Once it bit me in 1997, I was pretty much an atheist. But when it bit me, I've had an insatiable desire to uncover it at a deeper level within me, and it's become my life quest. My life quest is to experience perfect oneness, perfect love, as me, in me, through me, connected with you. What greater way to live? What a greater way to be present. What a greater way, what a gift to give our children. What a greater gift to give our grandchildren. What a greater gift to be with our neighbors. What a greater gift to attract a new partner into our life. What a greater gift to be with the partner we currently have. What a great gift to be with our parents. Better yet, what a great gift to look in the mirror and see Christ, see Buddha, see the divine, staring back at you through the eyes of God.